Marcus Chen had spent 12 years in underground fighting rings across 3 continents. His knuckles were scarred maps of violence, his ribs a collection of poorly healed fractures. He fought because it was all he knew, because the money kept him alive, and because somewhere deep inside he believed he deserved every blow he took. The night the Zenthari invaded Earth, Marcus was in a warehouse in Manila, trading punches with a Muay Thai champion for an audience of criminals and thrill-seekers. The first orbital strikes hit as his opponent's elbow connected with his temple. When he woke, half the city was ash and the sky burned with alien ships. Humanity fell in 3 weeks. The Zenthari were efficient conquerors. They didn't negotiate, didn't explain. They simply took what they wanted: resources, technology, and specimens. Marcus survived by doing what he always did: fighting. He killed 2 Zenthari soldiers with his bare hands when they came for his shelter. It should have been impossible. The aliens stood 7 feet tall with exoskeletons that could deflect bullets. But Marcus had spent his life learning where to hit, how to break things that seemed unbreakable. The Zenthari noticed. They didn't execute him. Instead, they did something worse. They made him an experiment. In the obsidian chambers beneath their occupation citadel, Zenthari scientists opened Marcus up and rebuilt him. They fused their technology with his nervous system, threaded their biomechanical fibers through his muscles, replaced his bones with adaptive alloys that could shift density at will. They gave him access to their combat algorithms, their tactical databases, their weapon systems. They wanted to create the perfect soldier, a human template they could replicate and deploy to crush the remaining pockets of resistance. They made one critical miscalculation. They assumed broken things stayed broken. Marcus endured 6 months of agony as his body was transformed. The Zenthari monitored his vitals, his brain activity, his psychological markers. They saw what they wanted to see: submission, acceptance, defeat. They didn't understand that every fighter knows how to absorb punishment, how to wait for the opening, how to turn defense into counterattack. When they finally activated the combat protocols and sent him to eliminate a human resistance cell in the Australian outback, Marcus went willingly. The Zenthari watched through his optical implants as he approached the hidden bunker. They observed as he bypassed the security systems with inhuman precision. They waited for him to complete his mission. Instead, Marcus spoke his first words in months. "If you're receiving this, I'm sorry for what's about to happen." The Zenthari tried to shut him down remotely. They triggered kill switches, sent override commands, flooded his system with disabling codes. But Marcus had spent 6 months learning their technology from the inside. Every moment of torture had been a lesson. Every surgical procedure had revealed another vulnerability. He'd mapped their entire system architecture through pain. He severed their connection with a thought. The resistance fighters found him collapsed outside their bunker, bleeding from his eyes and nose, his body convulsing as it rejected the Zenthari override attempts. They should have killed him. He was clearly contaminated with alien tech. But their leader, a former Marine named Sarah Okonkwo, saw something in his defiance that reminded her why humanity was worth saving. They took him in, and Marcus began to teach them what he'd learned. The Zenthari technology inside him was a masterpiece of engineering, designed to interface with their weapons, vehicles, and communication networks. With Marcus as their translator, the Resistance started to understand their enemy's greatest weakness. The Zenthari were supremacists. They never imagined any species could comprehend their technology, let alone weaponize it against them. Marcus became humanity's secret weapon, not through strength alone, but through adaptation. He taught resistance cells how to hack Zenthari armor, how to turn their own drones against them, how to think like fighters instead of soldiers. The Zenthari fought with precision and overwhelming force. Humans learned to fight dirty, to exploit every gap, to turn every weakness into a killing blow. The war that followed lasted 3 years. It was brutal, desperate, and costly, but humanity had learned something the Zenthari never expected. Survivors don't fight fair, and broken things can be reforged into something sharper. The turning point came at the Battle of New Geneva. Marcus led a strike team into the central Zenthari command ship, his body now a perfect hybrid of human instinct and alien capability. He moved through their defenses like he'd spent his whole life preparing for this moment. In a way, he had. Every fight and every filthy ring had taught him how to read an opponent, how to find the rhythm, how to wait for that perfect moment when defense becomes offense. When he reached the command core, the Zenthari commander finally understood their mistake. They hadn't broken Marcus Chen. They'd given a weapon sharpened by a lifetime of violence access to technology that could level worlds. "You were just a fighter," the commander said through its translator, its voice carrying something almost like respect. Marcus smiled, bloody and fierce. "We're all just fighters. You forgot that conquest isn't about who hits hardest. It's about who refuses to stay down." He destroyed the command corps, crippled their fleet, and broadcast their tactical frequencies to every resistance cell on Earth. The Zenthari retreated within a month, their invasion force shattered by the species they'd underestimated. After the liberation, humanity studied the technology Marcus carried, reverse engineering it, improving it, making it their own. They offered to remove it from his body, to give him a normal life. Marcus refused. He'd spent 12 years fighting for survival, 6 months fighting for his sanity, and 3 years fighting for his species. He understood now that he'd never been just a fighter. He'd been training his whole life for the moment when being unbreakable mattered most. The scars remained, the pain lingered, but Marcus Chen had learned the most important lesson any warrior can learn. Sometimes the broken things are the ones strong enough to break everything else. Humanity had survived, adapted, and prevailed, and they'd done it by turning their greatest weakness into their defining strength. They were survivors, fighters, and conquerors of their own fate. And it all started with one man who refused to stay down.